Hi again.
Hello.
This is Otito
And
from
Stanley Opo. I don't
from,
know what he's doing, but here we are.
of Great Couch.
From the Great Couch. And today's episode we're kind of answering all the questions because the questions keep coming and we keep saying we'll answer them, right? We will. So it's like, okay, let's kind of take a pause and
stop kicking the can down the road, right? So these question and answer sessions, right?
Yeah, so this is like Dear Grey Couch, right?
Okay,
not that we're therapists, but this is like our Dear Grey Couch episode.
Episode. I was going to say session.
So
the question, one of the first questions that we got is, what role does the birth order of a spouse play in marital dynamics?
Okay, and who gets to answer that one?
As last born, I'll let you go first.
As last born consigned.
Go first.
Okay, this question, I thought about it for a while because I was like, role. I don't even think that birth order plays a role. I think it's more about personality, right? More so than birth order. And typically, there's this thing they say, firstborns are more domineering and all that, but there's not really an association that has been found continuously, right, from a research perspective between birth order and personality. However, when you look at family systems, right, it's more of the child's role or that, spouse's role within their own family that they came from, and then the values that they espouse, right? So culturally, if you're...
That was my next question for you, as in, what about culture?
Culture.
Is that how does culture factor that in though?
Okay, so when people ask this question, they're generally asking maybe in relation to an extended family, right? Because maybe that person comes from a place where they're like, my extended family is everything. I'm going to take care of my brothers, my sisters, and all of that. And that's kind of, more values based, right? And typically, these are conversations that should have been had, I think, before marriage. But let's say you didn't have it, you are now here, right? And then your spouse says, well, my own thing is that I have to send all my siblings to school. I have to, take care of my mother and father at whatever expense, right? So obviously we're never saying don't take care of your family or anything, right? But if it comes at a cost to the nuclear family, I think that's when it now enters the marital dynamics, right? And so in that case, you kind of need to at least continue to have those conversations in a respectful way, right? So you're not going to necessarily push the spouses, their own concerns aside, right? To say, perhaps maybe we need to maybe save money, right, for our own children's education.
So that was a question I had for you, as in, assuming this is a situation where you cannot afford to man. I mean, that's a context. That's putting it in context. So is the question here where money is an issue, or?
Okay, obviously questions don't come with all of that context, right? So yes, that's another thing. If money is an issue, then maybe that's where there's, it may play a role. But if money is not an issue, perhaps this is not, going to play that much of a role, right?
What about in a situation where the said spouse received a helping hand and this was told to pay it forward?
That's another cultural thing, right? So you're kind of paying back what was given to you, or you are trying to meet expectations. It's expectations now of paying forward.
Yeah, that's the reason of paying it forward. But
yeah, and sometimes that's why I said the role, right? Some people see themselves as the, what do you call them?
Lynchmen?
Well, no. Are we looking at it as an organization? No, they see themselves as like, I'm the caretaker, right? I'm the one who takes care of everybody. So no matter the cost to me, right, at the personal cost, I'll do this. There's that perspective, and then this perspective of that person then does that and expects all the people that they help to come back and help them, right? So that also now brings in, another kind of dynamic later where maybe you're helping those people with that expectation and then that doesn't happen, right? So that can come back and still kind of bite the marriage, so to speak.
Again, culturally speaking, though, wasn't that the expectation of the firstborn? As in, your parents raised at least, take for example, parents had more time raising the firstborn, and then the firstborn essentially raised the other members of the family.
True.
So from at least a Nigerian context, that was the expectation, and it was not a bad expectation, to be honest.
But I know many Nigerians for whom they are not the firstborn, but they just feel like because of their standing, right, because of their financial standing now, they need to be the ones, to take care, and so they take on that mantle,
Which
right?
is not bad. Which is not bad.
No, it's not bad at all. Like, no one is saying it's bad, but it's like if you're doing it without now taking your spouse into consideration, especially maybe if the spouse has said, hey, let's kind of see where all of this is going, right? Because remember, the two people have come together. So what about if you're a caretaker, what about the wife's people?
Caretake for them too. Hey, you are the caretaker.
So you see what I'm saying? So I think maybe the wife may be saying that because it's like, oh, what about my own, siblings? For which then the question becomes, does each person handle their own family? Or do you bring this together and say, if we're going to be caretakers, right, we'll take care of everyone, since this is now, a joint family.
Again, from a financial standpoint, if you are the wherewithal to do, I don't see anything wrong with that. But if where you are putting a brave front out there, whereas the family is hurting financially, there needs to be some type of wisdom here. But it's a different case if the expectation is, oh, you're a pharmacist, your husband's a pharmacist, you should be able to. But really, there are some issues with that the other people don't know about. And then you really are not able to. In that instance, I would say, okay, the conversations, first of all, with brothers, I'm not really where I can help you. I want to help, I'm not really where I can help you. It might be an issue where the spouse doesn't know and like, oh, for sure, you don't want to lose face, we'll go ahead and take care of it, and the people are suffering. But, I mean, culturally, from that African, the community took care of it. So if you helped someone else, my fear, my worry though, is that this American individualistic nature, whereby even when you can afford, and I'm not talking only about money though. It's not necessarily about money. Time. Even where you are able to, because of this, I need to do it all by myself. You cut the other out. And by other I mean other family members out. Oh, I'm an American. What it now becomes the hybrid. You want to take the good of this culture, the good of that culture, and form a new hybrid.
Yeah, I agree with you.
What? Really? That was too
easy, right? No, but that's where we were heading, right? To say you are going to have that conversation. However, the person that maybe puts in this message, hopefully they're listening to us. I don't think it's this rosy, right? I don't think it's this cut and dry, which is why this question is coming in.
Okay, so to the best of your knowledge, though, financially, will it be a challenge?
I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know, because I didn't have that conversation with them. The question just said, what is the role that, birth order by play? And I said that it's, sometimes it's more about personality and values, right? So perhaps that spouse now became a Christian, the others are not. And so he's saying, Christian says, honor your father and your mother, you understand? And so then, it's like, okay, these are my values and I'm going to live by them. But again, right, you can hold both things simultaneously.
Okay.
It's just that many times, one side may tilt, right? Because you also understand the perspective of taking a man, to the river, right? Or taking teaching a man to fish. You understand what I'm saying? Because what you also don't want to do, even if you can totally afford it, is to create dependency.
Okay.
Because dependency does not work for anyone, right? So that's what you don't want to do. But speaking about this whole thing of the family dynamics and birth order, I think also one thing that I may want to bring in here is when you're talking about this extended family dance, right? Ensuring that each person kind of deals with their own family in terms of the hard conversations, and not kind of leave it to your spouse or give the impression that is your spouse that is causing this conversation to happen, right? So as an example, like in our case, you may say, I might say to my parent, I'm not going to say, oh, my husband does not like this. I would say something like, and this is a true story, it's like, I would prefer you not do that, right? Because in this house, this is not how we've chosen to do this, right?
It's not how we roll. It's not how we roll.
So you see, in that case, I didn't bring you into the picture, even though I know that it may be something you said to me that, let's work on this.
Even if the said family member that you're talking about feels that the spouse has influenced you into this corner. Perhaps you are doing said thing when you were in the house, or at an earlier instance when they visited, and then all of a sudden 180 degrees, there's a flip. Still point out that you are the but they can only think it. You cannot continue to now push that perception forward, right? Like a person you cannot influence a person's thoughts. They can think whatever they want to think, but it's the expectation and the conversation you have out that they have to hold, right? You will not now continue to do things that would allow that impression or whatever to continue to persist, and if it does, then it's on you. Yeah. Okay, question number 2. Question number two is, how do you make your spouse more motivated? Like, how do you handle a situation where you believe your spouse is not motivated enough, either for like things around the home or for the hustle? Okay. I'm going to need some more context.
What's the context?
I'm going to need some more context. So is it that you feel the person is not motivated and the person really is?
Why are you asking me now? Am I the one asking you the question? These are the questions that came to the breakout.
To help me answer to the best of my ability.
I don't have any context. You're not going to make a very great therapist too. And they send you all these comments. You are trying to answer, right? You bring in all the different contexts, I guess. But I don't know. You try to answer when the person says, my spouse is not, motivated. Essentially, if you were to go Nigerian ways, like they're not moving body. How do you get them to move body?
Okay. Yeah. So the question I have is that does this spouse see themselves as not motivated? Because it could be your own perception about it. Another thing, it could be that the person is laid back.
Okay, that's true.
And so personality traits coming again. I guess it goes back to conversations. Have the conversation again in an environment that stimulates back to love languages. Whatever stimulates their motivation. I know personally I'm family oriented, so things that push the family forward are my triggers. I want my family to be comfortable. I want my family to be okay. And so that is my own personal system. A little green-eyed monster there will be question of ego in terms of creating an environment that is safe for these conversations both ways. You don't want to stoke that bear unnecessarily if you can avoid it. So, you'll know. I'm not saying you would know your spouse, but then people change.
True.
Which is where we're coming back. I guess I learned my lesson. We went from love languages changing to people actually changing, and so the person that you married 10 or 20 years ago is not the person that it is right now, and so we want to figure out.
I'll qualify that by saying people grow, right? Yeah, because it's hard for people to change their basic personalities like that. You know what I mean? Like a laid back person, you're not going to jump up tomorrow and change them into the most gregarious person ever. You understand? But they will get used to people. They will get used to environments and all. But that fundamental thing, of how you knew them, right? They're almost like their basic personality traits. Those things don't just like fly out the window. Right.
Except their love languages that change.
Love language is a situational thing. It's not a personality trait.
You can tell us.
Yeah. So so if you were to think about again, I always say the house is like an organization, right? So it could be, are they not pulling their weight, or they're not motivated in the house, or is it outside, right, in terms of work, occupation, or whatever. But if it's for the house, right, I think you can create like some kind of shared agreement to say, okay, how do you want to handle this matter? Let's say I've been the one that's been preferring solutions, right? You can then ask that person to say, what solutions do you have, right? In that sense.
And this is the supposedly unmotivated
spouse. Yeah. So then it becomes a thing that comes from them, right? So they are the champions of those suggestions and all that kind of thing. And then you are saying that they are not motivated, you have to stay back and follow their new process or whatever.
I do think that in that situation, also, it would be a good idea to reevaluate family goals.
Yeah.
So, and then bring it from that perspective, like, okay, if this is what we agreed on, our family goals, how or how not are these, what actions will help get us closer to the mark?
Family goals related to making some
cash. Making some dinero.
Some dinero. Yeah. So this is like why are we assuming that it's money, first of all?
Because that is a goal.
No, but I'm saying for the question that was given to us.
Well, you did say hustle, right?
No, I was just the one that said maybe motivated enough for the hustle. Hustle could mean many things, but actually all of it is going to stem to maybe you want to move your station in life, right? Which, I mean, we don't want to say, but if you become a CFO tomorrow, or a CTO, or a CEO, it's extra money now, right? It all boils down to that financial buffer and comfort. But you see, the thing is, I think people look at that differently, right? Some people will just say, I have 3 square meals, I can pay my bills, I can do all of this, don't worry me, right? So even that, again, it's kind of different, almost like different baselines for different people, right? The women may want more and the man is just like, I'm okay. And I think for me, the question would be, you want to make sure if that's that person's, let's say, baseline, right? So that you're not constantly pushing against a wall that is not budging, right? Because if one person's contentment level is kind of just here, right? And you are wanting to be here, there's going to be a lot of work that needs to be done to move them. But that's where you were saying that if you can tie that to, family goals, or something that will get them to move, right? Then maybe. But then again, it's not as, it's not as like cut and dried as that. But however, the other thing that I'll bring in that is to say, if you keep doing the work, the other person is not going to be motivated. Like that, why would I be motivated to do the work that somebody's already doing and I'm seeing the results?
It reminds me of the story in that Boundaries book, where the parents came to the council and asked the council, listen, they've done everything for their child, they took him to school, they've been best schooled, and that, he doesn't just want to pull his weight and everything. And the counselor said that the child doesn't have a problem, that, well, you guys have solved all his problems, and so you're the ones that have the problem, that he's fine where he's at. So that what you just said reminded me of that story in that Boundaries book.
Yeah. So I mean, I guess it's like, again, back to the shared agreement thing, and then you hold the person to say, yeah, the one that came up with this solution, we're going to continue to work with it. And you, as the very motivated one, you don't jump in and pull the rug back out from that agreement. Right, so what was it for? The travel thing with the children, right?
Yeah. I have to snitch on myself.
I know.
So, do I really have to switch myself?
No.
Okay. Oh, grey couch, eh? On the grey couch. Okay.
I know.
So, I don't like packing. I'm a last minute packer, as in I can get everything I need done in about 5, 10, 15 minutes. And there are always issues when we're traveling for the kids. I think on this particular instance, we traveled and somebody's EpiPen or inhaler and what have you hadn't been packed, and there was some major conflict because I expected that the person that normally packs while you're packing yourself, you shall pack the kids stuff, and let's not get cultural here. Let's leave the culture aspect out of it. But anyway,
you're not telling the full story. That's one thing about conflict. Like there's always two sides to the story. So I'm at work, somebody's off, and I'm saying, please pack the thing. I'm going to I'm going to be back from work a little late. So I'm thinking, I've told somebody now to pack the load. Then we get to where we are going, and they're asking me, did you bring the children's medicine? And I'm like, huh? What medicine? Right? So I know somebody may look and say, why didn't I go back and recheck the packing? But you heard me say that if you continue to do the work, how would there are two things there. I'm assuming that a grown person cannot pack children's things if I went back to go and be double checking, right? But again, that's kind of like, as an African person, you may say, I'm going to double check it, right? To double check. But that's part of our growth in the sense that if you say to somebody, do something, you should expect that they would, they'll do it, right?
And to their standards. They will do it to their standards.
To the shared standards.
To their standards, okay.
So then what did you do after that though?
So we ended up having a Google Notes checklist for all the travel things that are supposed to be, and it's been helping. Everybody refers that.
But
whose
how did
idea
you
was
get,
that?
that's what I'm going to say. How did you get to Google Notes? Because before then I'd be writing up and down, writing lists, checklists. It's not working. But since you're the technology person, right? It's like, apps is it for me. I'm like, okay, we shall use the apps.
I'll take the credit for that.
So now, it's like, but still, how far with this? I'm like, check the app. So let's just say my brain has been what is the word? My brain has been, I've collected my brain back. Let's just put it that way. I collected it back.